What is the best 1-2 punch in North America? Well, I can't exactly speak on this subject myself because I'm missing a lot of the major parks in North America, so I came up with an objectively correct and indisputable way to answer this question. I created a statistical analysis using data created by the community. Yep, it sounds way more nerdy than it actually is, but the results are very interesting, so be sure to stick around to see my findings. Basically, I took 4 coaster ranking websites: CoasterBot, Captain Coaster, Coaster Count, and CoasterBuzz. I went down their rankings, and the first park to complete a 1-2 punch, meaning they have 2 coasters that are highly ranked, won 15 points. Then the next park 14 points, then 13, all the way until 1 point was awarded. Using this point system, we ended up with 22 parks that earned at least 1 point. In case you guys do some exploring yourself, Coaster Count does separate its rankings into steel and wood. I mainly used the steel coaster list and used intuition on where the wood coasters would roughly place. This didn't interfere with the data too much, though this approach awarded the only points to Dollywood and Knott's Berry Farm, so it actually benefited these parks. For those of you curious, you could look through my really sloppy spreadsheet that I made. I will link it in the description. It makes sense, I promise. Anyways, here are the results of this really interesting analysis that I put together. In the 22nd spot and the 21st spot is a tie between Dollywood and SeaWorld Orlando, both at 1 point. SeaWorld Orlando won a point with Mako and Manta, and Dollywood won a point with Lightning Rod and Thunderhead. It kind of makes sense that both these parks would barely crack this list because they each have one standout and not really another. SeaWorld Orlando sneaked through with Manta and CoasterBuzz. This probably will be replaced by Pipeline and move higher up as the rankings update. However, Kraken and Icebreaker are also very solid options to add on to Mako. Dollywood sneaked through with Lightning Rod as the first punch and the second as Thunder Striker. This also makes sense for lower scoring points as Thunder Striker isn't exactly the best coaster in the world, so Lightning Rod is really brought down by it. Kind of in the same boat as the first two is Holiday World and Knott's Berry Farm, both at 2 points. Holiday World won the points with Voyage and Thunderbird, which I thought was interesting because both Raven and Legend are also pretty renowned woodies. Knott's Berry Farm won with Accelerator and Ghost Rider. Accelerator really brought this park down. If only they had a B&M Giga, it might be at the top of this list. Next up at 4 points is Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This park won it with Pantheon and Apollo's Chariot, and it is very fairly placed here. In the 17th spot is Carowinds. Now Carowinds was really interesting because it won points with a combination of different rides. Majority of the points were won with Fury 325 plus Copperhead Strike, so that is the 1-2 punch we will be considering for the sake of this video. However, it did earn itself some points with Afterburn and some with Thunder Striker. I still can't get over that name. And in the 16th spot is Six Flags Mexico. This one is interesting because it placed highly in one of the lists and did not earn any points in any of the others. The 1-2 punch at this park is Superman El Ultimo Escape and Medusa Steel Coaster. Medusa definitely looks like a quirky arms heap, but definitely on the lower half of this. Superman looks like a great Morgan and a good showcase of what the model can do, so a solid choice, but it only won points with CoasterBot. With one more point in the 15th spot is Kentucky Kingdom. Lightning Run and Storm Chaser make up this 1-2 punch. Storm Chaser looks like a great small scale iBox, and Lightning Run is a one-of-a-kind Chance Hyper GTX that has some amazing airtime. These two coasters make for a wicked 1-2 punch that focuses all on sweet ejector. There's a tie for the 14th and 13th spot at 12 points. First, we have our only other non-United States park on this list, Canada's Wonderland. This park has a 1-2 punch of Leviathan and Behemoth, which is very interesting because they are 2 coasters of the B&M Hyper model. Leviathan is definitely better, but it has some extra height and speed to work with, and you really can't go wrong with a B&M Hyper. It's just funny that Canada's Wonderland has 2 of them. The other park that is tied here is California's Great America. Having been to this park, I don't see it as the strongest 1-2 punch ever. Railblazer is good, but not on the level of Wonder Woman Flight of Courage for me, and Ghost Striker is really good, but there's a bit of jackhammering. This park is headlined by this 1-2 punch though, and it definitely is worth checking out. The 12th spot with 18 points goes to Fiesta Texas. Similar to California's Great America, this is also supported by a Raptor prototype, but instead has Iron Rattler in place of Gold Striker. Iron Rattler looks like a solid iBox with absolutely amazing terrain usage, and Wonder Woman, well, it's a Raptor prototype, so it's a crazy ride to begin with. In the 11th and 10th spot, there's a 2-way tie at 20 points. This tie is between Six Flags Great Adventure and Busch Gardens Tampa. The 1-2 punch at Six Flags Great Adventure is pretty interesting. It won points with El Toro and Kingdakev, and it also won points with El Toro and Nitro. However, the majority of the points were won with Nitro, so that is the 1-2 punch for this park. I also agree with Nitro over Ka because I thought Ka had a good launch, but was more gimmicky than anything. I didn't get to ride Nitro or Toro because, well, Six Flags was Six Flagging. For Busch Gardens Tampa, the 1-2 punch was Montu and Iron Gwazi. I kind of expected this one to be a little higher on this list, especially because Montu is constantly referred to as the best B&M invert in the world, but Montu was ranked a little too low and BGT just tanked points because of that. With 23 points and in 9th place is Six Flags Over Georgia. This park has a very clear 1-2 punch of Goliath and Twisted Cyclone. Goliath is regarded as one of the best B&M hypers on the planet with amazing airtime and some great positive Gs, and Twisted Cyclone is a great small scale RMC iBox that does what iBoxes do best, ejector airtime. The 8th spot with 28 points goes to Kings Island. Now this one was quite interesting because there was no clear answer for what made up the 1-2 punch. Mystic Timbers constantly showed itself as the best coaster in this park, with the Ryan and Dimandkt switching places. These are two B&M hypermodels, with the Ryan being slightly taller than Dimandkt and breaking the Giga coaster mark. Despite it being a Giga versus Hyper, this is a widely debated subject. However, in the rankings, Kings Island won 20 points with Dimandkt and Mystic Timbers, and 8 points with the Ryan and Mystic Timbers, so the 1 punch here goes to Dimandkt and Mystic Timbers. With 30 points in the 7th spot is Islands of Adventure. This park is one of the best parks in the world, but it does not do too amazing with its 1-2 punch. It scored quite low in 2 out of the 4 rankings, but it did win some big points in the others. The 1-2 punch at this park is Velocicoaster and Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure. Velocicoaster is my personal number 1, and I think it is one of the best coasters in the world, period. Hagrid's is a world-class family coaster that has some of the best theming on any coaster, period. I think this is one of the best 1-2 punches out there, but it does fall in the 7th spot using this systematic approach. In the 6th spot with 37 points is Six Flags Magic Mountain. The 1-2 punch at this park is X2 and Twisted Colossus, and this is one of the most unique combos out there. X2 is one of a kind outside of Asia, and Twisted Colossus is the only dueling iBox. One thing that was really interesting is Twisted Colossus was ranked above X2, not once, but twice. So it was actually X2 that was preventing this park from earning more points. I just found that really interesting because X2 is usually regarded as one of the best coasters in the US, and Twisted Colossus is a very mid-tier RMC iBox. Don't fret though, Edge and Ica was still very high in every list. Starting off our top 5 with 41 points is Six Flags New England. This park is relatively underlooked, but it has a super strong 1-2 punch. Superman the Ride and Wicked Cyclone make for a gnarly combination. I admittedly don't know much about this park and the experiences these rides offer, but both are airtime machines that are world-class coasters in their respective categories. Both of these coasters were nominated for Golden Ticket Awards, which means absolutely nothing, but I guess it adds some strength to my argument. The number 4 spot beat out Six Flags New England by exactly 1 point, and that is Silver Dollar City. This is a park that I did not expect to be this high up on this list. I was expecting an appearance in the middle of the pack, but somehow it finds itself at the top. Now the reasoning for this is this park won consistent points across all 4 rankings. It wasn't like Islands of Adventure where it got bad points at 2 rankings and got good points in the other 2. It was just consistent across the board. So for that reason, Silver Dollar City got quite a bit of points. The 1-2 punch here is Time Traveler and Outlaw Run. Both of these are elite coasters and are very unique. Time Traveler is a mock extreme spinner that is unique to North America, and Outlaw Run is a very unique RMC topper track woody, so it definitely does deserve to make it on this list. I was just very surprised to find it this high. Starting off our top 3 with 47 points is King's Dominion. This park is probably the most common brought up example of a 1-2 punch. It has 2 world-class coasters and a lot of junk thrown in between. The standouts here are Twisted Timbers and I-305. Twisted Timbers is one of the best small-scale RMC iBoxes, competing only with pretty much Untamed. I-305 is literally one of a kind and is one of the most intense coaster experiences on this planet. It amazes me that Cedar Fair greenlit a project like this and Intamin delivered it to this extent, but as much as the GP hates it, this will forever be an enthusiast favorite. In the 2nd spot is Hershey Park. The 1-2 punch at this park is relatively new, so some of the rankings were a bit behind, but it still placed 2nd fair and square. Wildcat's Revenge and Skyrush make for one of the most wicked ejector airtime combos. Skyrush is a crazy intimate hypercoaster with so much speed, positive G's and airtime, and Wildcat's Revenge is a funky iBox with a very unique layout. The best part is Hershey Park has so many more coasters than just these 2, and with the most recent addition, Hershey Park definitely cements itself as one of the best coaster lineups in the world, and it's not even up for debate. So now it's time for the best 1-2 punch in the world, and hint, it was a clean sweep. If you remember how I did the pointed system, I counted down from 15. So this park won 15 all across the board and was the first park to complete a 1-2 punch 4 out of 4 times for a total of 60 points. And this park is Cedar Point. Cedar Point is home to one of the best collection of roller coasters out there, but the 1-2 punch is an amazing combo of Steel Vengeance and Maverick. Steel Vengeance is one of the best iBoxes in the world and actually claimed its title back against Iron Gwazi on a few of the rankings. Maverick was the coaster that broke the coaster wars, and it has such a diverse, forceful, and well-paced layout. You really can't go wrong with these 2 coasters, and it absolutely makes sense that they sweep the competition up. So that's all for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below if you want to see this systematic approach to use in other videos. I think it would be really interesting to see international 1-2 punches, or maybe even 1-2-3 punches. Anyways, make sure to like and subscribe, join the Discord, link in the description. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.